Okay, what is happening is the population is being conditioned to accept chemtrails as being, first of all, to accept that they're real, and secondly, to believe that they are not harmful to them. And that is the reason for uh, the UN phony documents that have been going around about the so-called moratorium on so-called geoengineering, and also the movie What in the World Are They Spraying was released at the same time as part of the disinformation campaign. And it's all part of the process of conditioning people as awareness of the spraying reaches a level where they can't just deny that they're doing anything. Now the liar, rather than simply lie and deny everything, has come up with a cover story. But this was all planned from the very beginning. This is all going according to schedule. They knew that they would switch from denying everything to coming up with a cover story, because if you look into it, this cover story uh, has been there from the very beginning. It's just that their strategy before was to deny everything, because that works as long as there's a small enough group of people that are aware. You simply brush them off like they're nothing, and you simply deny everything. But as they knew that because they're spraying everywhere, eventually a lot of people would start to notice it. And so then the liar would just switch his lie and come up with an excuse, which they've always done this. They've always, you can look at the history of their testing of chemical and biological and all other sorts of horrible weapons on people. They would always say that it was something good for them. Um, they even did that in the Holocaust when they gassed people to death. They said the gas was something good for them. And so you see this where before, where people would notice the spraying, everybody would just demonize the people who noticed it and say that they were crazy and deny that there was anything. They would just say, no, you're not seeing anything. You're crazy. But now they're starting to switch to saying that what you're seeing is geoengineering, which is to stop global warming. And this whole thing with the UN releases and the movie What in the World Are They Spraying, which is controlled opposition for these releases. And all the movie was a showcase for this conditioning. The way conditioning works is through repetition. So every time you hear the word geoengineering linked with chemtrails, and then geoengineering linked with global warming, it plants the suggestion in people's minds. It conditions them to accept the reality of chemtrails being sprayed and to not worry about it, which you already see people. Um, that's just exactly what happens um, if people go from denying the obvious that they're being sprayed. The next place their mind wants to go is that if I am being sprayed, it's for my own good. And this is why they came up with the story of global warming, and why they conditioned people for so long to wear sunscreen and the sun was harmful. This is all a coordinated attempt. It's all a big plan that's been going for like 30 or 40 years to get people to fear the sun, to hate the sun, to want to put sunscreen on, to stay out of the sun. They scared people about skin cancer. Then they scared people about global warming. Um, and so now their story is that what they're spraying is essentially sunscreen. Literally, that's the literal story. And everybody who believes in the disinformation movie What in the World Are They Spraying believes that. And they believe the UN's lies, even though I poked holes in every single lie. Um, they still believe it because the conditioning is so strong through the repetition. So, what is um, what is the spraying for real? There is no global warming at all, and so by extension, there can't be geoengineering. It's not geoengineering; is just part of the cover story. All the spraying is are soft kill weapons aimed at the population of the planet. The big goal is number one, to reduce the population, number two, to control the population. And that's what global warming is used for. It's used as a cover story for the spraying, and it's used as a cover story to enact global government and carbon taxes, which is their stated goal. Their stated goal is to have a government run from the UN, which is a totalitarian global dictatorship, and they want to reduce the population and have a total surveillance society over the whole world, um, basically to live in a nightmare, George Orwell world. But they've conditioned you to love them, to love your attackers and the people spraying you, that they're trying to help you, and it's working. So that's what they're doing. They are conditioning the people. They're going from denying the chemtrails to admitting them, but saying that they're good for you, to link them with geoengineering and global warming, which is a complete fabrication. And if you believe the UN story, okay, all you're doing is helping the government spread their disinformation. And to illustrate this, after the UN releases came out, all the people who believed global warming, and they believed geoengineering, and they believed in what in the world are they spraying, actually believed the UN was telling the truth, even though it was lie after lie after lie. They were so conditioned to submit to these masters that they actually believed that chemtrails had been banned. They actually believed they had stopped. And this same thing happened when I was on the trailer for What in the World Are They Spraying. When the chemtrails would stop, the people who were brainwashed would say that they stopped them with their minds. And this all relates to New Age thinking, which is totally tied into the whole global warming thing. So unless you see through this scam, it's over. They've won. They're going to reduce the world population by spraying biological weapons. They're going to install high-tech surveillance and mind control, all sorts of horrible weapons targeted at the population. And they're going to have a George Orwell nightmare world that you're going to live in. So it's all a big lie, and the people who believe that the UN is telling the truth, they actually believe that chemtrails have stopped. And I just saw videos of today of chemtrails being sprayed.